Hey, what's up everybody? So a couple of weeks ago I did some headlight restoration on my Toyota RAV4 and they were in pretty bad shape. There was a lot of oxidation that built up over 11 years. I was able to make them nice and clear again, but today I wanted to work on the FJ Cruiser's headlights. And just taking a look at the headlights, they're not really that bad, but they are showing some signs of oxidation. Again, nowhere near as bad as the RAV4 was from 11 years ago, but this is a 2012 FJ Cruiser, which means it's been about 9 years since it rolled off the dealership. So just taking a look at the headlights, they are a little hazy. There are certain spots that are more clear than others, particularly the perimeter, but you know, starting to get a little bit of oxidation there. So I figured I'd do some preventive maintenance and just kind of get rid of the oxidation on these. I'm going to be using the same kit that I used when I did the RAV, and it's Meguiar's heavy duty headlight restoration kit, and it comes with some sandpaper, a little sanding pad sort of thingy. There is 1000 grit sandpaper and 3000 grit sandpaper. It comes with some plast-x cleaner and polish and some headlight sealant, and it also comes with this buffing pad. I have my own drill here. This is going to go into the chuck and do all of the buffing work. I've got a bottle of water and some Windex and a couple of microfiber cloths. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this Toyota grille, and the way to do that is there are a couple of clips here. There's a clip over here, Phillips screw, another Phillips screw, and another clip. So I just got to remove these, and then I'd be able to pull off this Toyota grille. Alright, so now that I've got the two screws out, and I've got the two plastic retainer clips out, I'm going to remove the grille. Okay, so in my previous video with the RAV4, what I had to do was I had to take some painter's tape and mask off parts of the car that would potentially get scratched up. In this case, the headlight itself is kind of isolated, so I don't think that I'm going to necessarily need to do any taping. You'll see that it's once the grille is off, then I have access to all of the parts of the headlight that I'm going to sand, and I'm not necessarily going to be sanding these parts by accident, so I don't necessarily think there's a real need to tape off any of these parts. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean the headlight before I wet sand it. So I'm just going to take some soapy water and a cloth, and I'm just going to clean the headlight, because when I start sanding, I don't want to sand any of the dirt or the sediments into the headlight itself. I want to start off with a clean surface. Alright, so the very first step is I'm going to take my 1000 grit sandpaper and stick it on the little pad here, and I'm just going to start wet sanding. Just going to give it a nice liberal spray, and I'm going to sand vertically. And you can see that oxidation coming off already. It's all that white stuff that's coming off of the headlights. So I kind of know that most of the oxidation is in the center area, so I'm going to concentrate there. But overall, I want to get a nice even surface. After it's done with the 1000 grit sandpaper, it'll leave a nice kind of even haze. Alright, so now that that first part's done, I'm going to take off the 1000 grit and I'm going to put the 3000, and this time I'm going to sand horizontally. So this time around there's not a lot of that white residue coming off, which is the oxidation. So we got most of it off in the first round of sanding with the 3000 grit. Alright, so now that that sanding is done, I'm going to give it a little wipe down. So you can see that haze is a little bit more clear because of the finer grit sandpaper. Alright, next I'm going to take my buffing pad and insert it into the chuck of my drill here. Now I'm going to prime the pad with some of this plast-x. Now I'm just going to slowly kind of work it into the headlight. And then increase my speed as I go. Probably a good idea to wear some safety glasses. Since I have stuff that might be flying around, I'm going to put some safety goggles on just to kind of make sure none of this stuff gets in my eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and start buffing this. Right after buffing, here's a look at the headlights after, and here's before on the other side, which hasn't been worked on yet. So you can already see a clear difference. Alright, so now that I've buffed that headlight, I'm just going to take some glass cleaner and clear off some of the, like the wool. There's some wool that's kind of left over from that buffing pad. And I'm just going to clean off any of the excess plast-x. So it feels pretty smooth to the touch. Everything's nice and clean. And now the final step is to apply this headlight sealant. And basically I'm just going to apply some of the sealant to the sponge here. And then I'm just going to wipe it in a horizontal overlapping fashion. the same thing, just come across this way. And that's it. So after I've applied the sealant, I'm just going to give you a look at what it looks like here. Nice and clear. And so here's the before. And here's the after. So now that that process is complete, I'm just going to go ahead and repeat the steps over there on the other headlight. Alright, now that I have sealed both headlights, let's just take a look at what they look like. Nice and clear. The instructions say to allow 24 hours for the sealant to set, so I'm not going to go out and get this thing dirty or anything. I'm just going to kind of leave it in the garage here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the grill back. So putting the grill back is just the opposite of what we did before. There are some clips here on either side. And I'm just going to line them up. Snaps back into place. Everything's lined up, nice and neat. And the black plastic clip goes back. One plastic clip here. Another right here on the other side, and then two Phillips screws, one over here and one over here, to complete installation of the grill. And that's it. Alright you guys, that's a look at the headlight restoration on the Toyota FJ Cruiser. Once again, I used Meguiar's heavy duty headlight restoration kit. I'll leave a link in the description down below, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I hope that was enjoyable and informative, and I will catch you guys on the next video.